Welcome to In Hindsight. I'm your host, Day, where we showcase local New Mexico. We also talk about hot topics and also Are You the Ahole? And today we are joined by...
My name is Michaela.
I'm Vivek.
And also Rito and Octo.
Of course.
And we're going to start our show today because Vivek and his son actually went to dinner. We are showcasing one of local... is it in Albuquerque?
It's Santa Fe.
Santa Fe.
Papadosa.
Santa Fe location.
Yes.
So this is your son.
I love that picture. Okay.
So what is this delicious treat in front of him?
This is called bhel puri. Okay, and bhel puri. And what we were surprised by with this particular presentation is the way it came like a mum. It's usually like spread out, and the design on the side with the sauces. And it was really yummy.
Is this a vegetarian dish also?
It's a vegetarian dish. It's a common street food in the southern part of India, especially like Mumbai, that area. It's made of rice flakes. It's very healthy. It's also very flavorful.
Does it come with any kind of vegetables or anything?
No, it's rice flakes and it's maybe some nuts and some sauces.
So what are the sauces on the thing?
So the green one is the cilantro one, and the brown one is tamarind.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So what else did you guys order at the restaurant?
This one. So this was another one I was surprised by, the presentation. So like it's very hard to make out what it is. But what it is it's called dahi vada, right? Dahi vada. The vada is a dumpling made of kind of like a fritter, but made with lentil flour. Oh, okay. So it's very very healthy, rich in protein, and the base is yogurt.
Oh, okay.
And the presentation is what really amazed me. Like, the design that they made with the tamarind chutney and the cilantro chutney. Yeah. That's what was like, oh, this is really cute.
Yeah, it looks pretty.
It's very pretty, yeah.
It's like a flower.
So it's like a layered dish.
The dumplings are in the yogurt, they're dipped in yogurt, and then the sauce they've designed it on the top like that. Usually when you get it, the design is not so elegant. It's like, that's how
it's mixed?
It's still like spread out, but it's not like so carefully done with
pretty.
Yeah.
Like all like artistically.
Artistically done. Yeah. I know.
So like I actually do love Indian food.
Yeah.
Like just like any cultural food,
yes.
they lump all the food in like a certain
correct.
You know what I mean? They're just like, oh, it's all curry, it's all like mimosas, right? That's all there is. Mimosas, right? But what are the difference of like different continent of like India that like predominantly as like an Indian person, like if somebody asks you, it's like what make them stand out from different, places?
Meaning like, are you asking within India?
Yeah, we're like the north or the south,
yes,
that kind of.
Yes. So I'm from the north, okay, and North Indian dishes are mostly like the main grain would be wheat, okay. Okay. Just because wheat grows much more there, and you'll have things like naan and roti or bhatura. Those are all like it's the same dough, but prepared in different ways. Like, so if it's yeasted and it's fried, it's bhatura, and those are like giant ones, and they're really nice. They go very well with garbanzo beans. Okay. Like puri. And then if you take the same wheat flour, but it's not yeasted, and you deep fry it, it becomes a puri. If you do it like, how Mexican tortilla style, that's a roti. If you do it in the oven, it's tandoori roti. If it's like white bread and it's done in the clay oven, it's naan. So there's different varieties of the same, like wheat, this thing. And then the other thing about the North Indian dishes is that they're very rich in flavor. So lots of like onion, garlic, tomatoes in the sauce, and then flavors like spice stuff. If you contrast that with South India is predominantly rice because that's what grows there more. Oh, okay. And so what they do is like they would do like rice. Dosa is very common. So you take rice and you take dal, you soak it overnight, then you grind it, mix it together, and you let it ferment. And so that fermented dish, like pancakes, right? So it's like a pancake. And then you can put a different fillings in it. Right? So you could have potatoes and peas. You could have paneer, which is Indian cottage cheese. There's a lot of variety like
Sounds
that.
Good.
Yeah.
There's a lot of variety like that.
No, that sounds really good because like I do have like a couple of like different Indian places, and like you could recommended one also in Albuquerque. Which one was the
So
one?
my favorite one, I haven't tried all of them, but my favorite one is naan and dosa. It's right across from the Albuquerque Academy, and
Okay.
they're really good.
I feel like you're just saying this because it was close to your like son's school, right?
It's not close to my son's school. It is close to where we live,
Oh, okay.
but at the same time, also like we go there very often.
Fairly often, yeah.
And what I like, so there's a particular dish that they have. So here is the thing. I usually go to if it's advertised as a North Indian restaurant, then I will not order South Indian dishes from them. Or if it's a South Indian
yeah,
restaurant,
yeah.
I will not order North Indian from them. Right? I mean, it's like
Yeah.
I want to go with what their specialty is.
Yeah.
But in this place, the owners are North Indians, and the North Indian dishes are great. But they have a dosa dish. It's called Genie dosa. I love that presentation. It's like amazing. You know, like instead of the dosa being flat, it's put out as pillars, and then it's spread with some cheese in it. It's lovely.
I mean, how
lovely.
could you go wrong with cheese? I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like it's really
it's
hard
Indian
to
cottage cheese, yeah.
yeah, it's like it's really hard to screw up any dish with like cheese. I
Cheese,
think.
yeah.
So, but like the one that I love that I go to, but I live in the west side. That's why. So like sometimes it's a little bit harder for me now that I'm getting more and more pregnant to like come to the east
Yeah,
side.
yeah.
So like the one that we go to is actually Indian Nepalese.
Okay.
So they're
Yeah,
more.
more
I would
Nepalese.
not say like if they're north and south, but they're like more concentrated, like the stereotypical. More Indian dishes like they have mango lassi and naan,
Yeah.
but they have a naan, a sweet naan with like the cherries, pistachios,
Oh.
and I love that naan. It's just
Yeah.
like I would just eat that naan for forever.
Yes.
And then they have like the tandoori chicken.
Yeah.
They don't have butter chicken because like I always assumed that like it's an Indian dish, but actually it's a British dish. It's
It's
because people think it's just
Yeah.
like because like it's actually an Indian dish that became
was
very
popular in the UK.
in
yes.
the UK, yeah,
Yes.
that becomes like it's more like a fusion that like it
Correct,
became really popular because like people think it's like butter chicken, it's gotta be Indian. I'm like, no, I don't think it's like an authentic Indian restaurant because like I don't really see it like you don't see it predominantly in Indian dishes really
Correct,
when you go to.
correct.
So like, but yeah, no, I that's where we usually go. It's like that's like our
What's
favorite.
the place called?
Namaste.
Namaste. Okay.
Yeah, like namaste. When you go to yoga. But like no, because like I'm definitely gonna go to like your recommendations because like if like if it's authentic and like a person of that culture recommends me that
I
place.
know you want to go try it, right? You
Yeah,
want to go try it,
because like when people tell me like if they're like like I have friends that are like in New York that they're like you have to go to like a specific dim sum places. So there's like very popular dim sum which is like atypical dim sum like with the carts and everything. But then I have a Chinese friend where she's like she goes to like a smaller dim sum place and it's more authentic actual like dim sum Chinese dishes that I think they do like I think in Shanghai.
Okay.
So it's not really like the typical like they have more like fish dishes that is like not it because like most dim sum dishes is like it has a lot of seafood, but it's mostly in like little tiny things, and they bring a cart and then you like pick things out. So like I said, it's just like if somebody in that culture like recommends it is authentic, I'm like I gotta go.
Then that you have
Yeah.
to go. Yeah. Of
Yeah.
course.
I'm not actually too familiar with that food, but I definitely want to try
Yeah.
the places that you're talking about.
So another outing,
Yeah,
another
we'll do
outing,
another
another
outing,
food
yes.
outing.
Another outing goal.
Out
No.
and go. Yes.
Yeah, because like I wish there's like a Filipino restaurant in there was one, but they closed unfortunately during COVID. Like COVID definitely like
It was hard for restaurants.
yeah, it hit a lot of places because like they had like there's like a couple of two different tamales places that I go to. There was like a authentic restaurant in the east side
Okay.
and they closed. And then there was a food truck that was literally like right in my neighborhood, and they also like stopped. And I was just like, that's so sad. And then now I'm trying to find a tamales place. So literally, like if I see tamales, I'm like, Ryan, you have to stop here. Let's try the tamales. And I gotta admit, though, I've been a little bit disappointed because like they haven't been like
They haven't
living
been
up.
up to the mark.
They haven't been living up to my standard.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Mikila, you have any food, like favorite foods or favorite cuisines?
Personally, I love like poke bowls. Like
Tell me more about that.
poke.
What's your favorite place?
Probably poke because
Poke.
I really like sashimi, like fish and stuff
Okay.
like that. That's probably where you'll find me typically.
Okay.
Plus, they have like that little boba place right next door. Which I
Yes,
love
the
boba
little.
tea.
It's like they also have like little dessert stuff, right?
Yeah.
I know about the place that you're talking about. It's like a barbecue place, a bubble like dessert place,
Yeah.
and then the
The pokey. Yeah.
I've been there for a couple of times because I had like one of my meetup girls. She also loves like poke bowls.
Mm-hmm.
Is that like Wyoming and Candelaria around that area?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yummy.
Yeah,
Have you like had poke before?
I'm a vegetarian, so
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, that's true.
I'm
That
all,
is a little bit. Yeah, it's hard for me now to eat poke because like I had it in Hawaii.
Oh, and it's probably so much better.
So like, I mean, I wasn't supposed. I mean,
you're
like,
spoiled.
yeah. So yeah. Well, the
Don't
thing
spoil
also,
it for
the
me.
thing also is like I knew it was like really, really good at authentic because like my friend was getting married in Hawaii, and that's why we went there. It's like she also had poke to her like 5-star hotel that she went like, and she had it there for like not her wedding, but like the cocktail hour the day before,
Okay.
and they had their own like version of poke.
Okay.
And I told my husband like, this is disappointing. Like you're a 5-star hotel. Like why is
You
the
could do
one in,
better.
Oh, wow.
because the authentic one in Maui is sold in a liquor store. So like I asked like literally everyone and I Yelped it and like I researched it and everybody's reviews is always just like this is gonna be random but it's in a liquor store.
Yeah.
You know, and you know
Interesting.
it's like a hole in the wall kind of thing and it's like so like I asked a couple of like servers like because we went to a couple of restaurants and also like we went to like a whale watching thing and we asked the captain and he's just like yeah this is really random but it's in a liquor store and I was like I know what you're talking about because I looked at
You
it
looked at it, yeah.
and that's where everybody goes so like it is like in a random liquor they're like in a this is like kind of like their chain liquor store in a way but it was like so good. And I told my husband, "Is like, why is like the 5-star hotel not even close to this
That's
liquor
insane.
store
Yeah.
poke?" And it wasn't expensive either,
Yeah.
because you get 2 choices of poke, you get like a thing of rice and like I think like macaroni, like a potato salad. It was like a salad thing that it's really big in Hawaii.
For the side.
Yeah, and it was like $12.
Huh.
And
It reminds me of there's a dish in India. It's called pani puri, and pani puri is like these little balls which are hollow, and then you poke it, and then you put the liquid in it, and you put the little whatever spice in it, and you eat it.
Wow.
It's a great snack. Okay, and so the joke I would make every time is the best pani puri is the one that you get on the street. Where the guy who's making it for you, his fingernails have all the dirt in it, and he'll dip it, and that's what you get, right? And that's what gives you the flavor. That's the joke I make. Because here, everything is like laid out in a plate. It's like, like set it like that. And you can still make it yourself, and it's good, but it's not the same taste as a street vendor. It's like,
no, because street foods are really big in Asia. Because like my sister is like going back to the Philippines for her birthday.
yeah.
I'm really jealous of her. And then her husband is making fun of her because he's telling her, she's like, like those people don't wash their hands and stuff.
I know.
And
But that's where the taste comes from,
But she was like saying
That's
how
where the taste
like
comes from.
yeah, and she was like saying she's like I don't know if I'm gonna eat like things that are like in the street food. And he's like lies. Every time we go back,
That's
you
what you go for.
always eat
That's what you
it.
go for.
He's not. You never say no. You always eat the food. But it is like the food vendors. Like I mean, definitely like the food vendors in Korea are definitely more sanitized than like the food vendors in the Philippines. I gotta admit that. But I do love like that's the one thing that like the United States needs to step up. Is like they don't have street foods.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
it's
more
like-
or less common. I mean, there's like
Maybe
the
food trucks is coming
trucks,
close to it.
yeah.
They're trying to.
But it's not the
not
same either. It's
That's
so
what I'm saying.
limited.
Yeah, I'm not too used to street food.
Yeah, 'cause,
Especially
like,
because we don't have it out here.
Like
all,
the
really.
place where my parents live, they have this place where you just actually drive up, and the guy has a cart on the side of the road, and you park your car wherever, and he'll come and bring the food to you, or you go and stand and eat it. I think that's where the community starts to form as well. It's like,
yeah, it's like your
Yeah.
local
it's a local
panapuri.
thing. Yeah, local pani puri place.
At like 3 in the afternoon. But that's what I was telling my husband. It's just like that's what I miss about the Philippines because like food is like so convenient. Like you literally, how like they call like 15-minute cities where like everything is like you can walk through it or like you can get there in 15
Yeah.
minutes. It's the same thing in the Philippines, like the little markets and the little we call them sari-sari store, which is like a little bodega that like sells like the most random stuff like soda and like you guys have that too. I don't doubt it. Like some canned goods and some
Correct,
candy and crackers.
It's the convenience store around the corner, and
That
they have
owns-
everything. They have
that
everything.
owns like
Yeah.
just some random person in their house,
Yeah.
right? And it's just like I told him, it's just like food is like so convenient, and some of them even comes to you.
And the food is tasty.
And it's so
It's
cheap.
tasty. It's cheap, yeah.
It's
cheap
so
also.
cheap. So it's
Yeah.
just like, ugh.
Yes,
So it's
yes,
just like, but it's just one of those things. But
yeah,
like,
yeah.
but yeah, we gotta go eat after this, I think.
Yes, I think so. I agree.
I know. I gotta go eat
Fun
like
time
my,
of day.
yeah, I gotta go eat my food too because like I haven't had a chance to like snack on it.
Yeah.
But for our hot topic today is really really interesting because this is like a TikTok. It's like a TikTok debate. So I found it on TikTok. So what it is like there was a woman. This is like I think her 4th or 5th date, and her date decided to take him to his local spot. So this is like his regular spot. It might have been like a Polish restaurant. It's like one of those like not quite American places.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like a A&W or an Olive Garden or something like that.
Yeah.
So like the dish that she had, like she pretty much specifically stated that like she eats ranch with pretty much everything, right? So the restaurant did not offer ranch. They offer her like the sauces that comes with the dishes.
That's their cuisine, right?
Exactly.
That's their cuisine.
So
yeah.
unfortunately, she did try it, but it just wasn't quite to her liking.
Okay.
So she decided to leave the date and go somewhere to purchase ranch, and then come back to her date and continue their date. So after the date, she felt like the guy has now ghosted her.
So I want to know,
Rightfully so.
I want to know how long did it take for her to go get the ranch, and why was this guy just sitting there?
Well, the thing is, like,
Or maybe he was enjoying his food, right? I mean, it's his local place. So.
I feel like it can't be a small town, right? It had to be like maybe a bigger city, maybe even New York City, where maybe if you have a bodega, you can just cross the street and go to a bodega.
Okay.
But
Hopefully.
but it's one of those things where
Hopefully.
like
Hopefully.
if you were in that kind of date and you take someone that you're a regular to, how would you feel? Like how would you react?
I think I'm with the guy, right? Okay, all right, so you do your ranch thing. I love the food here. I like this is my place where I could eat like breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day.
As far as
So
like,
you do whatever you want, okay?
as far as like asking back for another date, would you?
Yeah. Or would you just like tell her that like you
Like
know,
if you guys
That
are
wasn't
talking,
cool. Yeah, that
yeah.
wasn't cool. Right? It's like,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, also, like, what were the emotions going on? Was it like, hey, I'm just gonna come back with the ranch? It's different from, I really want ranch, and you are not as important. This restaurant is not as important as my ranch. Okay, those are two different conversations. Right? So.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean the internet is
Yeah.
definitely divided because there is a lot of things that can be talked about it because there's that that argument of like about like people that are picky eaters, right? People that
Yeah.
like, and then there's also there's people that also debating on like neurodivergent people that have like they really can only eat specific things. So there are people.
Yeah, ranch?
Well, there are
yeah,
people that
maybe.
are like. Well, the thing is just like because like I work in a daycare, so like autism is also connected to a lot of like the food
Yeah,
disorders
sure,
with like
sure.
textures and all that stuff. So like I have known kids that would only their parents would like bring them food and they eat the same food every day.
Yeah, but this is the 4th date, right? I mean, like by now you could have figured this out, right? So I don't know. I think there are.
It is a little bit weird because like you feel like it's only like if you think about it in a short term, it was only one dinner, right? But then if we do continue dating,
Yeah.
and this is my
Red flag.
regular place,
You better bring like a gallon of ranch wherever you go.
That's yeah.
right? Because I talked to this to my husband, it's like I don't think in the long term I can date anybody who's a picky eater. Because like I was a picky eater when I was young, but then eventually I feel like you gotta grow up.
Yeah, I mean,
You know what I mean? Like chicken tenders, chicken
Expand your
nuggets,
horizon.
corn dogs, lifestyle.
Also, just like grow up.
Yeah, I know.
You don't
yeah,
have
grow.
to leave to go get ranch. Like
But
seriously.
what if like she said like, hey, I really need to have ranch. I'm just gonna go out for a couple minutes and pick up ranch. Would that
I'd be like,
make
go out for a few minutes and go home.
would that like that's the thing is like would that make of a difference?
I would think so. Like if
I
there's an
feel-
adult conversation where it's like, oh, I really want
Like,
ranch
what are we,
right now, it's
13
okay.
years old? Like,
I mean, I see both sides. It's like, okay,
Because like my nephews are like obsessed with like ketchup.
how old are they?
Well, they're 10 and 13.
okay, that's
Exactly,
appropriate.
exactly your point.
But I think that's but the problem is just like those kids do grow up being picky eater adults.
No.
I have friends that are like I have friends that like I can't invite to like certain places because I know they're not gonna eat it.
You need new friends.
I mean, they're good people.
Yeah.
You know, but like, but like I told my husband, it's like if you were a picky eater, I don't think I would have dated you, because like I just like I've always loved food, and like I was a picky eater when I was young, and I felt like I probably like limited myself, kind of thing.
See, the thing is, if I were a picky eater, if I were the ranch person, I would bring ranch with me, right? I mean, it's like, okay, fine, that's my box, and I want to stay in this
So you
box.
feel
Okay,
like
that's fine.
if she had brought the ranch, it would have been okay. But like
Perfectly
leaving,
fine.
I think so.
but leaving and
Is
then
immature.
coming back is like
Yeah, that's
that
like,
was like a total different story.
I think so.
Yeah, especially to like the guy's favorite.
His
Like a
his
regular.
place.
It's like
his
super
place.
disrespectful. Like, I'm bringing you to my favorite place, and she's like, "Hey, I'm actually gonna leave for a second and make it better."
Yeah, now that
don't
you put it that way, I'm like, okay, it's worse than this.
You can at least pretend, and then like next time, like know that you would prefer like
You would bring
an
a ranch?
addition. Yeah,
Yeah.
you could sacrifice the one meal that she probably didn't even pay for
Yeah.
that date.
I mean, that is like kind of. It is like I think like if it's your regular place, it is kind of embarrassing because there was like another TikTok saga too that was kind of like tied to it.
Okay.
And it's like, so this guy has been dating his girlfriend for 4 years, and she's a picky eater.
Okay.
But every time they go out, she only eats chicken tenders. Doesn't matter if they go to an Italian restaurant. It doesn't matter.
I hate those people too.
So my sister is kind of like that though. So that's why my nephews are like that. But like, so she wanted to go to like this fine dining place, and when he asked her like, well, what are you gonna get? She's like, chicken
Chicken
tenders.
tenders, of course.
And then he was like, well, why are you even gonna go there? And I'm gonna have to pay more than $15 for chicken tenders when I can just make it for food. And then people are saying like he's kind of like not in the right because like that's what she likes and that's what she eats. And it's like one of those things also. It's just like maybe she does have like food aversions or like that kind of thing or.
I see eyebrows getting raised.
But you already know, like I said, it's like
Eyebrows.
I don't think I can date anybody that's like a picky eater. Like I can understand if like I said, I don't like pickles. I'm not a picky person. I'm not a pickle person. But like there were like some dishes like when I'm traveling that like they put pickles on it, and I'm not gonna be like I'm not gonna be in Japan. And it's like excuse me, could you like not what I mean? I'm not gonna if I'm here. That's different. But if I'm traveling abroad, I have to taste the authentic. You know what I mean? Then I can make the decision of like, okay, this is not for me, right?
So I think the bigger question is, why are we so stuck on our likes and dislikes? Right? I mean, really, that's what it's boiling down to. That what I like is much more important than everything else that's going on.
But that's what I'm trying to say.
cares?
But that's
Who cares?
But that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
It's just like if you're dating a picky eater. Like, it's like a lot of people are also like voicing out, like I can't date somebody who's a picky eater.
Yeah.
And I mean, in a way, there's a pro on it because like if you only eat chicken tenders, we're set for life. You know what I mean? Costco. You know what I mean? Costco, like the kilo
chickens in
chicken
the back.
tenders for
So-
$25. You know.
I don't know if this happens in your household. Like in my household, the biggest topic of conversation is what are we making for dinner, right? Or like what's happening for dinner, right? And so in this case, that question is out of the window. So that means now
Chicken tenders all day.
chicken tenders all day, right?
Right.
Breakfast,
Personally,
lunch, dinner.
dinner.
Personally, that's gonna work for like a total of 2 weeks for me before I'm never gonna want to eat chicken tenders
Yes.
again.
Yeah.
Yes,
So-
exactly.
Because I do know people that are like they only eat like specific thing, and it's like that's all they eat all the time.
Repetition is
I don't know how they
boring.
like they don't get tired. But like I do know people that's like because they they say it's just like I know I'm never gonna be disappointed. I know what it tastes like. I know what the texture
Dude,
is.
come on. You're never going to be disappointed, yes, but you're never also ever going to be delighted. Right? So it's both things.
I like that.
Right? It's both
Yeah.
things. You can't say, oh, okay, I'll never be disappointed.
There's
Fine.
for sure
That's-
something else in the world you'll like. You just won't give your chance to
Yeah, you're-
find that.
Yeah.
Because like I know like my family and friends are already telling me it's like your kid is gonna be a picky eater, and I'm just like I
Yeah,
refuse.
every kid is a picky eater
Yeah,
in a
for
certain
real.
age group.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, so
But
what?
I told them it's just like no,
So what?
not my kids. Like, I'm gonna.
Her kids are
I'm
eating
gonna
like
they're gonna eat while like I am not gonna cook separate things for them. I mean I do sometimes with my husband, but it's not his fault. It's like because like there are some Filipino dishes he doesn't eat. He doesn't like it at
Yeah.
all. So like he'll be like, well, can I just have like pork chops or something? And I'm like, yeah, sure, really pork chops. I don't care. You can do
Yeah.
it, you know. But like, yeah, no. Picky eaters versus non-picky eaters, I guess. But do you think but do you think it would ever work in a relationship with like a picky eater and an adventurous eater? Do you think it'll ever work?
I think so. I mean, it depends on the chemistry.
Your
right?
optimism is inspiring.
No, see, the way I look at it is, like usually we think of opposites as opposites, right?
Opposites
Attract.
Yeah.
No, not
Or
that,
like-
but like we think of opposites as opposites, but I think it's the opposites that complement each other, right? I mean, it's like, for example, my wife and I, okay? I'll make a dish, it'll be very plain, right? It's fine. And then she'll come in and she'll do like, and suddenly it's like the most wonderful dish you've ever had, right? So I'm not a picky eater. She's not a picky eater, but she likes her food the way she likes her. Like,
yeah.
I mean, she and it makes a great, it's a win-win for both of us, right? So I'll do the base and then she'll do the toppings and then that's it. It's like,
I'm not a picky eater, but I do have like a weird thing where I only eat with forks.
See, now it's just like, I used to be like that, but like we're Filipinos and like we eat it with a spoon and a fork and also our hands.
Hands.
Yeah, so it's mostly hands, but then like if we do eat, we mainly use a spoon because we do have a lot of like rice dishes and it's easier to eat rice dishes with a spoon.
Yeah.
And then you push it with a fork.
Yeah.
But now that I'm getting more and more older, I'm figuring out that like I like using spoons more because like when you look at our dishwasher, it's like the little small ones in the front are like my husband's forks, and then we have like spoons this much. And my husband's like, I wonder who's eating with a spoon.
I'll eat with like proper utensils in front of people, or like if they have a presentation, I'll do it. But personally, I'll eat ice cream with a fork. Like I don't think that's an issue ever though in a relationship. No one really cares. Just bring me a fork.
Yeah. No, I think that's like very, very minor. Because that's
Yeah,
like
I
me
feel like
saying, he's like, I know, like, I feel like,
That's never been an
I
issue.
feel like, yeah, I feel like my Asian people are gonna be like, what? Like, I hate onions. Like, I love green onions, but I hate onions. Like, if I do cook onions, like, I pretty much just kill it to a point that, like, it just disintegrates kind of thing. But, like, I hate onions. I love green onions, but for some reason, I just hate onions. In all Asian dishes, it's nothing
They're
but
onions.
garlic and onions. So it's just like, yeah. But then finally, I told my husband, he's like, this is dumb. All I do is pick out onions on my own dishes. And it's just like, then stop. And I'm like, but it's not the same.
It's not the same.
I feel like I'm taking out the flavor profile because I took out the onions. I feel like I'm like, look, my ancestors are looking at me and be like, how dare you? We perfected this recipe.
My
Now you're
ancestors.
taking out onions in this dish.
It's the same conversation with my wife and I, okay? Because we're from North India, okay? Every North Indian dish that you make, onions, garlic, tomato, ginger, right? These are like staple, okay? They go into the sauce. There's no... And I said, we should try without onions. Because onions, if you eat too much, or tomatoes, if you eat too much, it creates acidity, right? So it can.
It's acid, yeah.
It can, right? So, but she's like, no, it's not the same. It doesn't taste the same.
She's like, this isn't negotiable.
But I'm curious, like, are there other things similar to the fork thing that you have in your, like, that you're like, this is unusual?
I guess I hate when the microwave hits 0.
What?
I don't know if that's
When
relevant.
it's here, so you're like, did the
Yeah,
thing.
like I'll
You,
literally
like, stop it
wait at
before
the
that?
microwave. These are just like little pet peeves that I have when it comes to eating. As far as like my palate, I will literally try anything.
Yeah, I'm the same. It's like, I'll give anything at least
Fair
like
chance, right? Yeah.
once. Like, even if it has onions in it, I still like, fine.
Yeah, I'll definitely try anything. Not that I'll like everything, but I'm not like so picky that I'm assuming I won't like it.
Yeah, but if you say that I'm not going to even try, then that's you're missing out.
Limiting
right? It's like
yourself,
you're
yeah.
missing out in that way.
No, I can. It's just like food is like so amazing. I mean, there's like sometimes I'm a little bit disappointed because like as a chef, sometimes I do feel like I tell my husband it's like how can you screw up an egg? Like you have, like I felt like you had to try really hard to screw up an egg.
Like this was hard effort to do.
You know what I mean? I feel like my
I have
7-year-old.
an egg story.
Yeah. So go ahead.
So, this is when I was in grad school, okay? In grad school, we usually had late nights, okay? So I come in, And the moment I enter the apartment, there's the smell of burnt sulfur. You know, like
Yeah.
the sulfur smell. I'm like, what happened here? Like, are we being invaded by aliens or what's going on? It turns out my roommate, he had come late from the lab, right? He was working till late. He was hungry. He put eggs to boil.
And
then he
forgot
slept off.
about
Then
it?
he slept off. Then he
Oh
slept
my
off.
gosh.
How did that, like, your room did not burn?
Yeah, it was it didn't catch fire, but the smell was like all over the place. The moment I entered the door, it was like, what is going on?
Somebody died in here.
Oh man.
No, it's
Yeah.
just like that burned, like, if you
The
ever
sulfur,
burned, like, an actual pot, it's the worst smell.
Okay.
And also eggs. Eggs already, like, I mean, obviously, like, if you leave it for so long, like, it's going to smell bad. But, like, if you burn it, it's really bad.
That's bad. Yeah.
So now another
Another
we're going to
story.
go, we're
Okay.
going to go to, like, another hot topic.
Okay.
Perfect.
So, I believe the title of this is Redditor Gets Dumped by Parents at a Young Age, Pretends Not to Recognize Them Years After When They Try to Reconnect. So the story is like, I was raised mostly by my uncle and my aunt. My older sister developed a serious illness when I was 6. And my parents decided that they couldn't care for both of us, I guess. So they kind of unceremoniously dumped me at my grandparents, and my uncle took me in. Like, they didn't even explain to me what was going on. Just, you're going to go visit Gran for a while, and never pick me back up.
Oh.
My grandparents and uncle explained it later, and they were pretty livid at my parents. I've seen my parents maybe 5 times since then, and not at all for the last 9 years. I decided to stop having contact with them when I was 12, and since I was the only one who was reaching out, all communication broke down. It turned out okay. I love my aunt and uncle, and it turns out that they can't have kids, so they always said I'm their miracle kid. I was just misrouted by the stork at first. I was formally adopted by them when I turned 18. I wish it had been earlier, but there are some red tape things that would have made that really expensive and difficult. I'm 21 now. My sister passed away between Thanksgiving and Christmas, and I made a trip back from school for the funeral, but I stayed in the back and left before my bio parents could talk to me. They called my uncle to try to talk to me, but I said I didn't want to, so he told them that I wasn't available at the moment. They finally caught up to me over Christmas when I went to a midnight mass with my gran and approached me and tried to give me a hug. I did recognize them, but I pretended not to and just backed off and said, "Sorry, do I know you?" They said, "Where are your parents?" And I said, "My parents are at home." And went and sat down with my gran. They sat behind us, and I could feel the stare. And on the way out, they were like, "You really don't recognize us?" And I said, "Oh, are you my dad's brother? I think I remember you when I was little."
Wow.
My gran thinks they deserve it, trying to come back at me like nothing happened. But they wrote me a long letter about how hurt they are and how I should understand that they were trying to do the right thing and how they'll always be my parents and I can't change that. Other family members think I was too harsh as they're grieving, but I don't think they should get a pass just because they remember me now that my sister is gone.
So what do you think?
That's a lot of trauma
That's a
to unpack. You know?
A lot of drama. That's
I
right.
mean, that's the thing, though. It's like, I think, like, this is the thing. Is like, this is very common in Asian communities, especially. It's not just Asian American, but also like literal like Asian
Asians,
culture.
yeah.
Is that you know when you're not the favorite kid. You know what I mean? You know who the favorite kid is in Asian culture. It's pretty clear. I don't know how it is in like Native Americans and Mexican cultures, but like in Asian cultures, it's pretty evident
obvious.
who is the favorite child is.
Yes.
And I think this is something that you know and I know because it's very prevalent in Asian culture. So like I think to be like there's so much trauma to unpack, like to be left out, no explanation. It wasn't like his parents were like, "Hey, you know, you have a sibling," but like, you know, even I think the problem is also like when adults think that like children don't understand.
Oh, that's a big problem. That's a big
Children do
Yeah.
understand. They may not fully functionally understand it at the time, but there are some things that like stick to you as a child. You may not remember the exact words, but you always remember that feeling.
Yeah, you remember how you felt for
Yeah.
sure.
So like
Exactly.
when you feel abandoned, that is just like just gonna drop you off. You know, there was no explanation. It would have been better, and also like they stopped seeing
To
him,
stop
Communicating him
communicating,
completely.
To stop communicating.
right? And I
And
understand.
he's the one who's always trying to reach out.
Oh,
It's
that's like the saddest part too.
Yeah. So I think also the fact that like you knew that there was like long term, they didn't even try to connect with him, right? I think that's the hard part. Is like I understand if you do have a child that needs more care, because like I have had friends where like, you know, they
Yeah.
have had kids where like they definitely
need
need
more,
attention,
yeah.
and it is hard to be like the normal kid. Because like, you know, what are you gonna do?
Like all the attention is on the child that needs
The care.
The care, yeah.
But to be just like dumped out and then just be forgotten and then now be like, well, we've always been your parents. And it's like, I hate when
When-
people say that, you know, we're blood. Like that means something. It's just like, no, it doesn't mean you get to hurt me. It doesn't mean you get to
It's-
do mean things to me. Like why? Because we have the same blood, like
So-
you're extra mean to
I
me.
have a question, okay? So what if the parents had not abandoned this child, okay? And he grew up with this sister who is always getting all the attention. And now he's like invisible, even though he's in the same building, but he's invisible. Would that be better? I don't know. I mean, it's like, it's a different kind
They
of
could have
trauma
at
there,
least
right?
communicated and stayed in some sort of
Yeah.
communication
I
think
and
that-
explained what was going on.
I think the problem was like there was no contact.
There's no contact.
Literally
Right?
none.
And he and each time he tried to reach out, they didn't reciprocate. So that's, I think, there's another.
That's another
like,
really hard, difficult
It's a
part.
hard thing, yeah.
Like also like as a child, you already know you've been abandoned by your parents, and it's like, yes, you know that like, you know, like he already said that like his aunt and uncle definitely like
They
took
took him
care
in,
of him,
yeah.
and he felt like that is definitely like his parents. But there's always gonna be a part of you that know that you've been abandoned by your parents, and like as a
There's a
child
longing, yeah.
having that trauma.
Yeah.
Like, how do you resolve that as an adult? Because, like, now he's an adult, right? And then his parents are looking at him like, well, you know, why you're not, like, taking it, like, as an adult? Because, like, you didn't abandon me as an adult. You abandoned me as a child.
How do you resolve that? Your favorite answer before. Men
Therapy!
should go to therapy. Men should go to therapy.
Therapy, people! Spend the $50 or
Yeah, I know.
80
Yeah, I mean, there's therapy. There's also there are all other things as well. But I think here's the thing, right? So he's looking at the situation from his perspective,
Yeah.
and the parents are looking at it from their perspective. And the only way this is going to cross is if at least one of them has the courage to be empathetic over the other side. Right? Only
There
then you
has
can
to be
move
some
forward.
sort of understanding.
Right?
But that's the thing. It's just like,
Like,
it is also not fair for him to be the bigger person.
Yeah, it's
especially
not
when
really-
you've been abandoned.
so here's my question, okay? So his parents, right? So whatever they're going through, however it is going. I mean, okay, let's maybe step out of this situation because this is a little more
Complicated, yeah.
complicated. But let's say you cannot accept somebody, okay? That person is living their own life and they're wherever they are, but you have given space to them in your head, and they're not even paying rent for you for that, right?
Yeah,
they're
that's right.
So you are the one by not accepting that person how they are, you are the one who's suffering because of it. So I think that's the thing you have to realize.
But I think, like,
You may not have like
Yeah.
in this case, okay, fine, don't be with them, that's fine, but can you move on? That's
but I
the
think,
question, right?
I think he have. That's why,
Yes?
like,
I don't know about
I
that.
mean, I think like he was a little bit petty about the whole like my parents.
Like not
like my parents. I mean, I think like I mean we're all a little bit petty.
I feel like I could understand.
No,
where
I'm not.
that's coming
I'm not
from.
saying it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not
Yeah.
saying that I don't understand.
Because I think
it.
like the problem I think mostly is like his parents wants to come back to his life because like now
Now he's
they're
feeling-
contacting him right
because the
before-
other one is gone. Right?
because
So-
remember
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
said that like he cut contact eventually
Correct.
and then they never reciprocated.
Correct.
But
Yeah.
then his sister died, and all of a sudden they're like
Now they want to
crawling
come
They're
around.
like, we're parents again.
hey, I have another.
He's like already a complete adult.
Yeah. So he said that like he decided to already cut contact. So I think he already made the decision that like, okay, I'm over this. I'm past this. They're not my parents anymore.
So this is the thing, right? So when you say I'm over this,
Well, not over it, but it's more like
yeah, like
that chapter is kind of done for me
It's-
because that's what he said. He's like,
Right.
I think like when you decide to like cut contact to like certain people, there is like in a way
Healing.
not closure, but like in a way you decided it's just like I'm
You
not going to
decide-
communicate with them.
So that's what I'm saying. Right? So I think much more than whether he decides to communicate or not communicate, much more is, can I just move on with my life? And
It sounds like he's kind of trying to, at least.
he's trying to.
They're
That's
the
good.
ones now.
I think the problem-
And then now they need to do the
interrupting
same thing.
Yeah.
They need
because
to do
he's
the same.
saying how like his parents and now their family members are like egging him, telling him that like he's mean to his parents because they're grieving, right? I understand,
I
that-
wouldn't buy into that. Yeah, I would
but like
think, yeah,
family is kind of annoying though. Like that's the thing. It's
Yeah.
just like
That's it's family.
Yeah.
No one can ever do anything.
it's like it's one of those like pros and cons where like it's nice to have family close to you, but it's so hard to have family close to you because
So you just need it at the right distance.
yeah,
you know?
yeah. It's like maybe an hour and a half, so I can like drive there, and they have to drive back, kind of thing. You know, it's like not that like they can't just be like, "Hi,
Yeah, they just can't pop up in the middle of nowhere and
hello, it's 3 in the afternoon."
expect this amazing relationship that was never built and doesn't even have a foundation in the first place.
Exactly.
It's like, I don't know if you guys noticed about me, but I'm actually adopted by my dad. I was adopted when I was 7, so I kind of know what that feels like. I like met my biological dad when I was 18, and I don't have anything against him or anything. Like, we don't stay in complete contact.
Yeah.
I'm like, I appreciate when we do stay in contact, but like,
But your dad is your dad.
yeah, my
Yeah.
dad is my dad. Like,
Yeah.
so to me, I'm like,
Yeah.
I wasn't missing out on that. Like, I didn't miss out on like a parent, but also it's like always weird having like that other parent, you know, who like
Yes.
wants to come reach out to you.
When they want to.
Yeah, so you're
like,
just, I like will go with it. I don't like, I'm not mad or anything. To me, I just try to understand like he was obviously going through something in his life, you know,
Yes.
and just wasn't ready for that. So I'm not gonna like shame him on that. I guess I'm just like blessed to have had somebody else step
That
into
wanted
that
you, yeah.
spot.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
kind of the same thing with this person. Like he had somebody stepping in, so I think he's just grateful for that. I
Yes.
think there does need to be some healing there, though.
There needs to be healing on both sides. right?
Yeah.
So that's for sure. That's for sure. Yeah. Yes.
Family is complicated,
Family is complicated.
Yeah, family
but
is
I'm trying to
complicated.
like move all my family here. And my husband's like,
You're like, I want us all to live on one property.
I really do on that person because like that's what it is. Like in the Philippines, like you either live in like a generational house or literally like our house
like
was like
next
so
to each
close
other.
together. Like when I was growing up, like we had a little tiny window in our bathroom.
Wow.
So like when my cousins run out of soap, they would like shout on the little window and be like, "We're out of soap!"
Sweet.
Yeah,
They
and
throw a
then I'll
rock
be
across
like,
the
you know,
street.
give them soap in like the little window.
Oh my gosh, that's super close.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like literally, it was if we knock off that wall, we're in my grandma's house.
My goodness.
So like my grandma's house is like 2 stories, and it had like 5 rooms in the downstairs.
Yeah.
And there's like 3 bedrooms on the upstairs. So like my grandma and then some of my cousins and their so like it was like one family per room kind of thing. So like this is like my cousins and my aunts and then my cousins and my aunts and then like now it's like my aunt, my dad's sister. She lives there with her kids, and then her kids have like a little extension. She has like a little 1-bedroom kitchenette bathroom that extends kind of like from the house, but there's also an upstairs that they rent out for like rent to people, so they have like kind of like
income coming in,
income
yeah.
coming in. So like, but like our house is literally like right behind it.
Wow.
So
I
it's
think there are
just, like,
pros and cons to it.
there's
Yeah.
always pros and cons.
to
Because
it.
like
There are pros and
yeah,
cons to it.
because like I look at like my nephews is like they love going to the Philippines because like they have a lot like my brother-in-law's family is big in the Philippines, so he
Yeah.
has like cousins and stuff. Because my side they're all older, they're all like in college, they're
Yeah.
not quite married yet with kids, but like my brother-in-law like his cousins are around their age, so they play with other kids,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
one of those things where like because my husband told me this story of like. The first time he met his cousins have the same last name as him, he was so shook because he was like all of his cousins that he grew up with
They're different
were
last
different
name.
last names.
Oh, wow.
So when he met his cousins, like I don't know, like maybe he was like 8 or 9, it was like, wow, you have like
You
the
have the
same
same
last name as I do. But to me, like I've always grown up with cousins on both sides of my family, so I knew like some of them didn't have the same last name as me.
Yeah.
You know, so like my aunt that was like living in the house now, their last name is Del Agua because like she remarried. It was my dad's sister.
Oh, wow.
Right? So, and also like on my mom's side, they have a different last name than
Sure.
I am because
Yeah.
she had sisters.
Yeah.
So they have a different last name. But like because we live in a bigger city, and you know this, it's like if you live in a bigger city, a lot of your family from the province come to stay with you when you live in the big
Oh, yes.
city
Yes.
because you know they have a room to stay. You know that's where your family
That's what
is.
family's for.
Yeah, exactly.
Free room and board.
But it's always like it's one of those things like it's like a lot of like pros and cons because like I grew up with cousins all my life, like older than me, like younger than me, and also closer in age. So I was never really technically alone. I always like somebody to
Yeah.
play with. I would literally like go next door and play with my cousins. But like as they grow up, because we're Asians, you're always compared to somebody. Yeah, and you know, then when you have that many cousins, a couple of them are gonna be better than you.
Uh-oh.
So now you're just like, you know, you're on a roll this semester. You know, that's unacceptable.
You don't want to be like the bottom or the
Oh, yeah.
top, right? Both will get too much attention.
Yeah.
That's me. It's like,
So like I said, it's like there's always pros and cons, but
yes.
it's also like by culture, right? Because it's like definitely interesting. So, but you know, well, that's our show for today, and we will see you guys next week. And for any small businesses or any local businesses or any businesses in New Mexico that would like to be part of our show or would like to sponsor our show, you can actually contact us through our website and through Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And you can contact us through In Hindsight, EINHINDSIGHT. And we will see you guys next week. Bye.